Meeting to order it's 09:30, the Finance and Ways Committee meeting on this 13th day of February 2024. Roll call, please.
Commissioner LaHaye.
Here.
Commissioner Osmer.
Here.
Commissioner Lalone.
Here.
Commissioner Fournier.
Here.
Commissioner Konashevsky.
Here.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Here.
Commissioner Francisco.
Here. Everyone, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our next action is to adopt the agenda, and I would like to make a change to the agenda, and I think Commissioner Kozlowski will as well, but I want to move one portion of my point, the Land Bank Authority funding recommendation to two things. One, I want to make that action item 12. And for the sake of Mr. Avery and his busy schedule, I'd like to move that to the front of this meeting after our committee action for bills to pay. And Commissioner Kozlowski, I know you said you had an addition as well.
Yep. So courts and public safety, we had a discussion on payments for the first responders quarterly payments. So I'd like to get that added too. And I don't know, we could probably, not sure where we could add it right after the bills, I guess, just a discussion. And then I do have one other discussion point that I wanted to talk about, and I don't know where we can talk about that. Anywhere, I guess. Why don't we do it? Why don't I do it right after the discussion of this?
Okay.
That makes sense.
All right. So
I'd say we can put this in after let's say the bills.
right after we do the bills to pay?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, after bills to pay and before Mr. Avery with the Land Bank Authority, we will do CPSC action item 1. I'll call that action item 13. And then one other.
Just a Zoom discussion.
And a Zoom discussion for informational purposes. Yeah. Okay, for informational purposes following action item 13.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Kozlowski to approve the amended agenda.
I'll support.
I have support from Commissioner Lalone. Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the approving the agenda indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the amended agenda is adopted. So the first action then is bills to pay. I will look for a motion to pay the bills as submitted.
I'll make that motion.
A motion from Commissioner Lalone. Do I have a support?
I'll support.
I have support from Commissioner Fournier. Discussion. Any discussion on the bills to pay as submitted? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner LaHaye.
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer.
Yes.
Commissioner Lalone.
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier.
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky.
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco.
Yes. The next item then, I've labeled action item number 13. It's Court and Public Safety Committee meeting, action item 1. Commissioner Kozlowski.
So courts and public safety, we had a meeting yesterday, and just for the sake of getting these payments made to the different townships in the city, I just wanted to add that. So I don't know, you'll get the minutes later, but one of the discussions and what we've done in the past is we've paid the first responders. Actually, we stopped paying the first responders up until a couple of years ago. And then we added it again. We came up with a formula, I guess, of it used to be on number of runs. And so we broke it down and we have $117,000 in payments that are distributed to the different townships in the city. So we're going with the 117 again this year. And I just would ask that we could add or make a motion to get this approved and those payments made to the different townships.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion and support to recommend the approval to authorize the treasurer to disperse the quarterly first responder calls payments from the first responder calls line item number 210-651-803.001 and appropriate those payments on a quarterly basis in 2024 as presented.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll support.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Kozlowski. I have support from Commissioner Osmer. Discussion. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner LaLonde,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson, sorry, Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes,
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco.
Yes. The next item on our agenda, again, Commissioner Kozlowski regarding a Zoom meeting.
so we have our Zoom meetings and a couple things on this. One of the only committees that we don't have a Zoom meeting on, and I'm not sure if there's a reason why, but we don't do Zoom for personnel. So I just wanted the discussion so that way all the commissioners have input on this. I feel like if we're doing Zoom for everything, other than personnel, we should add that in. Do you know of a reason? Because I mean, most of the times that if we go into closed session, we're not Zooming the meeting anyway, so. Are we good? Are you good with?
Yeah, it was just that way when I started and I don't know why we never had Zooms.
Okay. I just assumed that they were all Zoomed. And then the other piece to this, and again, input from the other commissioners, one of the things, and I think it was probably mostly Lenny's fault, but during that meeting, not really. During that meeting, we had a lot of technical difficulties. One I'd like, and I've talked to the Commissioner's office in Len and Kim, just to kind of spread those so we don't get hit all in the same meeting. But to add to that, when a presenter comes in, I think my thoughts are, especially in the full board meetings, that IT, we need to have someone have here either from IT or be here to be able to help with issues. And I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on that. You guys feel like, because as you guys witnessed, that Zoom meeting didn't go so well. I mean, not the Zoom meeting, but the presentations. And I think we need to have a better flow. I mean, we're wasting the presenter's time, we're wasting our time trying to get those things set up. So
Is that unreasonable to have them walk across the street and just come check setup at the start of a meeting and then walk back?
well, even if it's just for presenters too. I mean, when we have PowerPoints or whatever, we need a better flow than
Yeah.
what's happening.
If we can just get advance notice of what kinds of things that we can prepare for that rather than trying to do it on the moment.
Yep. Okay.
Well, definitely they should get notice of when the full boards, and then that should be an expectation because it's usually at the full boards that we have a presentation. So can we make sure that IT gets for the rest of the year when the full boards are? And then if someone can walk over 5-10 minutes, make sure everything's running correctly, everything works, and then they can tootle right on back. And then we just avoid that whole situation because that was like 15 minutes of everybody's wasted time. And it just makes it look unprofessional. And I mean, that's not acceptable.
So, Chairman, if you'd want, I'll make the motion that we begin requiring that personnel meetings are Zoomed, that IT is available to help assist with presentations, and that any presentations put before full committee are given to the Commissioner's office the Friday before presentation.
Okay,
I'll support that.
I have a motion from Commissioner Osmer and support from Commissioner LaLonde to ensure that IT is notified in advance of meetings, all meetings, personnel committee meetings, full board, finance, ways and means, et cetera, to ensure we have an operational Zoom. All in favor indicate by
Well, I think, yeah, they both,
And that presentations are given the Friday before.
well, and the discussion part on that would be, and I think most of those subcommittee meetings, we don't usually have presentations to those.
Correct.
So we're not, I don't want them to think that they gotta be on the hook for every single meeting that we have, just
Full board.
the full board
Just
meeting.
the full board and finance, ways and means, just those two.
Yeah.
Correct.
This is the second and fourth Tuesday of every month.
Yep.
Okay, and any presentations would be there provided to IT the Friday before.
Correct.
Those meetings, okay? So any further discussion? All in favor of supporting that motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion is carried. Thanks, Steve. We'll appreciate your help. Okay. Next on the amended agenda is what I will call action item number 12, and I've asked to bring forward the Land Bank Authority decision to an action item. Mr. Avery from Target Alpena has provided a presentation to us. We do have a Land Bank Authority that has made a request. But if you could, Mr. Avery, just please provide us what your courses of or your options were for seed funding, for initial funding that you are requesting.
Okay. One will be a one-time allocation for from the county to the Alpena County Blight Elimination Fund. And the other option would be a reoccurring allocation yearly towards that Blight Elimination Fund.
And as county treasurer, I'm requesting we do not set up a county blight elimination fund. We set up a land bank authority, and the land bank authority should be controlling their own funds, not another fund within Alpena County. If this is land bank money, then land bank money should be using it. Alpena County should not be holding a separate, because it has to be spent through the land bank.
Okay.
Kim, while you're talking, I know we talked about this in the initial funding, and you had reached out to, and I can't remember what the individuals.
I've reached out to Jeff Huntington and Eric Shirksey, say his name. Yeah, thank you. They're both prominent in the Michigan State Land Bank, and I have emails back that the recommended startup appropriation from a county to land bank of our size would be about 25,000.
Okay.
So I guess, unless other people have further discussion.
I do have just another
I do
point before we
too.
go to a motion. So I had sent Treasurer Ludlow back on about the 30th of January to get an idea, get our status of the ARPA funds that are currently available. And please, Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think according to the spreadsheet that you sent, we have available about $866,455. And I'm sorry that I didn't give you too much of an advance notice.
Oh, that's fine. I brought my documentation.
Okay.
Yes, we do have.
Okay.
My caution would be this 866,
66.
this was, we've spent money since then, because this was as of the 29th. We've spent another $9,500. This money is to come to the county operations. This is set up that we can bring it into. We can bring it into the county for operations. How you take county money and disperse it is another issue.
So are you saying that we cannot use ARPA funds to fund the land bank?
Not directly, no.
So it's got to come
Have to come into the general fund.
Okay,
So you're looking at a $1.5 million deficit at this point.
great, understand.
You could bring that 800,000 into the general fund, reduce your deficit, and then turn around and increase your expenditures by creating an expenditure to the land bank. But you're doing that anytime you choose to say, oh, we're going to spend it with ARPA money. Oh, we're going to pay it with ARPA money. You're really not paying it with ARPA money. You're still paying it with your general fund.
And corrected, then we would pay it out of the general fund. I was just looking at availability.
Where it would come
Yeah,
from, yeah.
exactly.
So, and I don't know what everyone's thought was on this.
There needs to be a motion before we can have discussion.
We're having
And that's why I'm coming on. So I'm going to throw out there like we've done in the past, based on the information that Kim had relayed back to me, and then we just all heard that I would like to make a motion to transfer the $25,000 from our general fund into the land bank, and then we can transfer that back out of ARPA into the general fund to cover that.
So you'll be looking to make an appropriation from the Alpena County to the Alpena County Land Bank Fast Track Authority of 25,000. And then you're also making a transfer of ARPA funds of the 25,000 into general fund to help support the general fund operations.
That's exactly what I was thinking. You say it so much better than I do.
Okay, I don't have the line item numbers, but you have, so,
Yeah, no, they have not been
They've
created.
been
So I have to create, I can get the line item to transfer from ARPA, but I can get those.
okay, very well. So I have a motion from Commissioner Kozlowski to create a fund for the Land Bank Authority and
No,
for,
sir. No, sir.
Okay.
We do not want to create a fund within the county.
okay,
We want to
transfer.
we're making an appropriation
Okay.
to another business. We're
Another-
giving money to like the DDA or NEMGA, or in this, the land bank is another business. So we are merely making an appropriation to the land bank authority.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Kozlowski to make an appropriation of $25,000 from the general fund to the Land Bank Authority. And further to use ARPA funds to reimburse the general fund in the amount of $25,000. Have that motion. Do I have support?
I'll support.
I have support from Commissioner Fournier. Further discussion. Commissioner Osmer.
Mr. Avery, I'm just going to follow up with a question that I asked at the intergovernmental meeting. And I think it was maybe not put clearly, so I just want to make sure I understand before I vote. In the beginning of the presentation, it was described that the Land Bank Authority, make sure I get this right, parcels will go to auction. And then those parcels that don't sell will come back and then be offered to the Land Bank Authority. At that point, the Land Bank Authority would decide whether or not to take on those parcels as you know, projects or whatever. My question during that meeting, I just want to make sure I have an understanding, was whether or not you envision or hope to ever see the Land Bank Authority become funded to a point where they could become competitive, not after auction, but at auctions against taxpayers.
That's not the intent of the land bank is not to work from just foreclosed properties or properties that were going to the tax rolls for failure of taxes. The intent of the land bank is to address blight before it gets to any other portion. You know, the land bank can work with the landowner to help fix properties without taking the landowner's property.
Okay.
The land bank can develop property on previously vacant lots. It does not require nor rely on any just foreclosed property. So no, I don't believe that that's the scope and vision of the land bank going forward.
And I think the reason I ask is I want to make sure that what we're not doing is creating a taxpayer funded or another government type entity that becomes competitive, where if we're at auction and you have John Doe, who's a taxpayer who would like to purchase this parcel of land, competing with the Land Bank Authority over that piece of land, that taxpayer has first rights, I guess would be my question. And then the second follow-up to that is, I understand with the fact that you guys would go after blight. Can you explain? I just want understanding the two parcels that you highlighted during the intergovernmental meeting were both wooded properties that were not blighted. These were just wooded properties where trees were going to be cut down and property expanded, rather than like basically what we envision as blight would be because, like, you know, 10 junk cars and an old trailer and, you know, garbage all over in their yard. So I just want clarification too, that how do you prioritize those?
I guess priority comes to what's going to be best for the tax roll. I mean, you know, that's where we're looking at high value property. So if you're looking at, you know, blighted property within the city, that's probably going to get higher priority, or properties are, you know, within, say, a boundary expansion or something that's going to, you know, immediately impact. You know, we have several commercial businesses that are within the DDA or the downtown area that are considered blighted, you know, are just abandoned and unused. You know, for example, we have the old car dealership on Washington. You know, could that be a development project? Could some other projects or properties, you know, there was once a blighted house on Tuttle Street that was taken down. You know, so those priority projects would be something that the land bank and, you know, our stakeholders. So if the other townships would like to present properties and say, hey, we would love for you to take a look at this particular property. What can you do with us to help? Try to prioritize those particular projects.
So, okay, thank you for that. And then, so just to be clear then, so you don't ever see the Land Bank Authority becoming competitive with taxpayers on auction items?
That is not the goal of the land bank, to be competitive with taxpayers.
Okay, thank you. And then, if I could just one last question. One more time. Treasurer Ludlow, what is this board's commitment to the land bank? Once we create it, let's say we get 10 years down the road and we, how does that work? And let's say,
A separate entity.
okay, so once we create it, then that's it.
Separate entity from the county. If the county chooses
I mean, once we fund it.
to make appropriations as time goes on, but there is no obligation of this board other than to appoint members for vacancies.
Okay,
There is no obligation.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
I have one question.
Sure.
So to kind of piggyback off there, Commissioner Osmer, so, and again, we're looking at you, you're the one asking for the money, but ultimately the decisions are made on those properties by the whole.
By the land bank
Authority.
authority, not
I mean,
not Target. Now, the land bank authority has,
2 county commissioners,
You guys say-
2 city members.
what I was referring to is their agreement to work with
Yeah.
Target for you to look to see what grants and stuff are available. The land bank authority has asked Target to do that and be their, I'm not gonna be able to think of the right word, but to get the grants moving forward and everything, see what's even available. But it is the land bank authority who votes and decides whether or not to move forward on any of those.
Any other questions or discussion?
I just have a small one, and this is just looking at, I apologize, I can't get super loud. Long term, say the grants dry up, I mean, so say the federal government isn't necessarily giving out so many grants for housing because, the United States is number 2 with debts, with our debt ceiling. I do foresee, and many financial advisors will tell you this, 5 to 6 years down the road, a lot of these grants are going to dry up. What are the plans for funding?
So at this point with the land bank, there is none. The land bank is right now relying on grants to be able to move forward.
And the hope is develop projects that's going to facilitate additional seed money into the land bank. That's why we're not gonna be hungry hippos with acquiring projects and properties. We want to be selective so that, the development, the land bank is not trying to get into the housing development business. The land bank is trying to develop properties that's going to go back into the tax roll by engaging stakeholders, meaning a property owner with their own mortgage from a bank, buying a once blighted property that's now a vacant lot, and then adding that funds, those expenditures back into the closing or back into the sale, of their loan. So then that way it gets back onto the tax roll as fast as possible.
Yeah,
So we're not trying to build houses for people because that's not the scope of what we're trying to do. That's not gonna be the primary scope. Some land banks become developers. But for right now, we gotta crawl before we can walk. And right now, we have 3 potential grants that we're gonna be working from. That's gonna give us a lot of experience to say, this is where we want to go in this river.
and those grants would not be available to our community if we did not have a land bank. So the land bank in this incident is really just a conduit, a pass through. But as soon as we have money to operate, as soon as we actually have these grants, well, then we're a separate business. We have to have computer, we have to have software, we have to have auditing services like any other business. The land bank will have cost of doing business expenses that are not covered by the grant. So that's why we're looking for some seed money. Land bank is really nothing more than a pass through for these grants as long as we are actually awarded them.
So very similar to Nikki's program,
Very similar,
Mhm.
yes.
which is all beneficial for the county.
Oh, yes, yes, and taxpayers and getting stuff back on the rolls, or it's not back on the rolls actually, but increasing the values because everything we're looking at now currently is on the tax rolls.
And I think one of our goals is of course, to
Yeah.
improve economic development. And this is a tool for us to be able to receive funding from the state, federal government, to be able to make investments to improve properties. And then again, and to improve our economic development in the county.
Well, and one thing, I reached out to a couple of the townships and only a couple. I didn't get a chance to talk to everybody, but I was just kind of curious how they felt about it. And a lot of them they're kind of watching to see what we do. You know what I mean? If we're willing to invest in it and you know what I mean? They're kind of seeing like, okay, then, they're willing to get on board as well.
And I do think too, if we foresee these grants drying up in 5 or 6 years, it's our duty to grab as much of that taxpayer money that's floating out there and bring it back home before they do dry up.
That's a great point.
Yeah, before it does. Any more questions or discussion? So we have a motion and support. Do I need to repeat that or are we good to go,
Please
Lynn?
don't.
Lynn, are we good to go?
Oh, you're good to go.
Okay,
Yes.
very good. So a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner LaLonde,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco.
Yes. The motion is carried and we will provide that $25,000 seed money to the Land Bank Authority.
Lenny's so happy.
Now he's gonna take the money and run.
Go cry in the corner. No. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. So thank you.
Thanks for your patience.
So the next item on our agenda is Mr. Guthrie, the County Remonumentation Administrator. Sir,
Morning.
good morning.
Good morning.
This year's grant amount for remonumentation of the county is $40,575. Of that, 80% is budgeted for contracting, remaining 20% for administration and peer review. We have two contractors here, same two we've had for a long time. They are local, they're within the community, they have a lot of experience in the area. They are the most qualified. Any questions?
Okay, thank you.
I did have a question.
Okay,
So on one of the agreements, I noticed that there is a completion date and on the other one, it does not have that. I'm just kind of curious why. So one of them, it said completion date by November.
By November 1st,
Is that the way?
they should be on all of them. If it's not there, it's,
I scrolled down through it and I did.
yeah, well, I'll look again, but it should be, they all should be November 1st of the year.
Okay, I'm good with that then. Thanks.
okay. So I'm looking for a motion to recommend approval of the professional services agreement from 1/25/24 to 11/1/24 with Huron Engineering and Surveying. Fees per corner, 13 corners at $1,200 each, equaling a total of $15,600. And Lewis and Lewis Professional Surveying Incorporated, fees per corner, 14 corners at $1,200 each, for a total of $16,800 for remonumentation services as presented. And Kim, I don't have a line item number for that.
This is, we can put the line item in. This is just accepting approving the service agreements.
Okay, so we're good to go that one.
I'll make that
I
motion.
have a motion from Commissioner LaLonde. Do I have support? Support. I have support from Commissioner Konashevsky. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner LaLonde,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco.
Yes. The motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Guthrie. Next on our agenda is our treasurer, Kim Ludlow, with monthly reports. Kim?
So at the beginning of this year, January 1st of 2024, you have an unaudited fund balance, beginning fund balance of $3,850,247.60, with revenues collected through January 31st of $820,516.44. And total expenditures through January 31st of $1,444,193.55. leaving a fund balance of $3,226,570.49. Again, that's unaudited. If you look at your comparison, last year in January, we spent $861,405.30 more than what we brought in. This year, we've spent $623,678.01 more than we brought in. So we're looking at $150,000 less going out right this moment. And other than that, just to keep watching, we're right where we would expect to be.
Okay. So I'm looking for a motion to recommend it to receive and file the monthly treasurer's report for the month of January 2024 as presented.
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Konashevsky. Do I have support? I have support from Commissioner Kozlowski. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor of receiving and filing indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion is carried and the report for January will be received and filed. Next item is the ambulance fund 2024 budget adjustment.
So when the board approved amending the ambulance service agreement with an annual compensation from $940,000 to $1,112,542, you approved that on December 27th of 23. There was not an increase to the budget approved. So therefore, to be able to pay this contract, we now need to adjust the budget and increase the amount of line item 210-651-801-000 city contract payments by $172,524 to what you had originally budgeted.
Okay, thank you, Kim. So what I'm looking for is a motion and support to approve for approval of the budget adjustment, increasing line item 210-651-801.000, which is the city contract payments from 2021 through 2024 by $172,524 as presented. The board has approved the amended ambulance service agreement already, increasing the annual compensation from $940,000 to $1,112,542 on 27 December 2023.
I will make that motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Malone. Do I have support?
I'll support.
I have support from Commissioner Konashevsky. Any questions or discussion?
So where does that money come from then?
So at the end of January, the ambulance had a fund balance of $1,894,335 with budgeted to spend $1,038,136, which would leave a surplus of $856,199. And that's where that would come from, out of that surplus.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
No.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Lalone,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco.
Yes.
Thank you.
The motion is carried. Next item on our agenda is Steve Musso, our IT director. Steve, if you could come forward, please. You're asking for us to approve a state and local cybersecurity grant application in the amount of $5,000 with no county match. Anything further, sir, you would like to add to that?
Pretty much it. It's a no obligation grant, no match. This is the application. So to see if we can
Qualify for it? Okay. Thank you then, sir. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the FY24 state and local cybersecurity grant application.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Fournier. I have a second from Commissioner Osmer. Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion is carried, and please, sir, go ahead and submit that grant application. Next on our agenda is our Emergency Services Coordinator or Director of Emergency Management 911, Kim Elkin. Good morning, Kim.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your time today. Our request before you today was included in our 2024 budget request. However, by happenstance, I later found out that due to technical issues, our request was not received, so it wasn't able to be reviewed. So today I'm here to discuss our request and provide reasoning and what we feel is justification for our request of an additional 11 hours per week that would be split half and half between the 911 budget and the emergency preparedness budget at 5.5 hours per week to each budget. And we're requesting the adjustment into the emergency preparedness budget for 2024 at a cost of approximately $6,000 from the contingency fund. And this would allow us to change our Deputy Director, Al Rapson, to full-time from his current part-time status. I outlined in the submitted memo a proposal. We outlined the adjustments for the 911 budget adjustments, and we showed a 40% cost adjustment to our emergency preparedness budget to show our commitment to this request and to show that we're willing to put skin in the game. Just a reminder that the director and deputy director positions in 911 and emergency preparedness were allocated hours and budgeted at a 50-50% ratio between the two departments. It's important to note that even between the two positions, Alpena County does not currently employ a full-time 911 director or a full-time emergency preparedness coordinator, because we have 1.5 positions covering 2 departments. So we don't have a full-time for either. Does my math make sense? We have 3 quarters for each side of the budget. Half from me to each budget and half of part-time for each.
But isn't the task organization that the county approved having one director with 2 departments? I'm just asking, as I recall.
I am budgeted 20 hours per week to
Okay.
each department.
Department. That's how the payment is made. Okay. Got it.
Correct. I apologize if I didn't do a good job explaining that.
You explained it well. It was just me trying to.
I should have said 20 hours right out of the gate.
It's okay.
Historically, the 2 departments have shared a single director. My predecessor held the combined positions for 2 years, and the director prior to him served for 18 months. The dual role director is achievable, but it is a challenge nonetheless to reach the required benchmarks, let alone advance the programs. And my respect and great admiration go to the gentleman who preceded me and paved the path to where we are today to have this conversation. As one example, contained within your packet is a 14-page list of recommended best practices from the state of Michigan for 911 centers. The items range from administrative, financial, dispatcher training requirements, operations. The list goes on and on and on, 14 pages. We continue to work through the list to ensure we are reviewing, accomplishing, and maintaining each item. Also of note, Alpena County Central Dispatch operates solely on surcharge funds from the collection of phone fees. 911 budget receives no county general fund dollars. Alternatively, though, our emergency preparedness budget is a combination of Homeland Security grant dollars and county general fund allocations. In 2023, we earned grant dollars just over $2,000 related to hazardous material planning activities. While we intend to continue to take advantage of these reimbursable activities, because we already receive federal funds for my position, these reimbursements are only available for Al's time spent on approved activities. Furthermore, Homeland Security funding involves laborious paperwork and requirements in exercise drills, compliance reporting, as well as online and in-person classroom trainings, creating a catch-22 because the paperwork and compliance requirements are very time-consuming. The funds are critical for our program. In addition to the Homeland Security grants normally available to us, Deputy Director Rapson recently secured 3 days of first responder training to be held in Alpena, courtesy of a Region 7 Homeland Security grant. The 3 days consist of one 8-hour training day, of which 4 opportunities are being held throughout the 17-county region. But the remaining 2-day training is being only offered in Alpena. The grant across the district was $13,200. I apologize, it was not a district grant, it was a regional grant. $13,200. Of that amount, $7,800 has been allocated to trainings being held in Alpena County. In your packet, you'll also find an email we received from Alpena City Fire Chief Rob Edmonds, expressing his appreciation for this training opportunity for his crew. After ensuring that this training is successful, our goal is to be on the radar for future regional and state trainings. The resulting benefit of this is that more of our local partners are able to attend, and then this also strengthens our preparedness. We're grateful to the Sheriff's Office for providing their training room for these sessions, and again, kudos to Deputy Director Repson for his diligence resulting in this training opportunity for our local responders, because our local partnerships are critical, and we're pleased to provide this grant-funded opportunity. As evidenced by the 3 pages of activities and accomplishments I included in your packet, we're not sitting idly by waiting for opportunities to drop in our collective lap. We're currently in the early stages of window shopping for updated 911 technology. Our current system is 8 years old this year, and technology has advanced greatly since its purchase. We're bringing several 911 centers back to the table for discussion on a possible partnership purchase for at least part of our project. However, since we have no plan to spend $500,000 from our 911 fund balance, we also have several irons in the fire regarding possible outside funding sources. While it should be considered a successful return on investment, these funding mechanisms, again, require a great deal of time. Again, referencing the list provided in your packet, you may have noticed, excuse me, we serve on a number of community and regional committees and advisory boards. These opportunities put us at the table and in conversations with our partners across the region and across the state. Just yesterday, we were offered an exciting new opportunity to be appointed as a member of the Northern Michigan Area Committee with the United States Coast Guard. And I have our first meeting with them on Thursday, and we're really excited about that. This committee is a partnership committed to improving responses to actual or potential discharges of hazardous substances into the maritime environment, either intentionally, negligently, or accidentally. The committee's primary responsibility is ensuring readiness to mitigate the impact of an incident on the public health, the community, and the environment.
Are you almost done or?
Yes, sir. I made a list. This is,
Okay.
I think, the 4th time I've brought this request back, and I want to make sure that I have answered all the questions. We are the 2nd largest department in the county employee, second only to the Sheriff's Office. We are the only other 24/7, 365 operation. While I'm very thankful for the addition of the part-time deputy director, our team has established achievable goals, and we're creating momentum toward developing robust 911 and emergency preparedness programs. And I mean this as no whine or no complaint, but shame on me if I burn myself out and I didn't bring it to your attention. My salary is based on 40 hours a week. While it's my choice to work in excess of that amount, I'm not a person who's going to say, my salary is 40 hours a week, you're only getting 40 hours a week. I typically work about 60. Having the additional 11 hours a week for the deputy director would help bring more balance into my schedule and help us achieve the funding goals and developing our programs to benefit the citizens of and the visitors to Alpena County. So I respectfully request your approval of the $6,000 budget adjustment. And I'm glad to answer any questions you may have.
So if I may, Kim, there, according to our agenda and the information provided, there are 2 budget adjustment actions. One is, excuse me, to reduce the 911 fund balance
Yes.
in the amount of $10,809. That's the first one.
Correct.
That will allow, again, the 5.5 hours per week for 2024.
Correct.
The second one is the 6,000, the contingency fund for emergency preparedness by 6,000 for 2024.
Correct.
What happens with 2025 and beyond?
Well, so That's a fair question. So our goal is, of course, to find more grant funding that would be applicable to some of the activities that we're participating in. So last year, the $2,000, excuse me, that we received for the hazardous materials grant, that was our first grant application to that program. Because the prior year, when I took over the emergency preparedness duties, the application had already passed. So we are looking deeper into that. We actually have a time set aside this week to review. The application hasn't come out yet, but we're getting ready. We've already started keeping records of the things we know we can claim because the fiscal year started October 1st. But we are looking for further grant monies to bring into the program to help offset this in years to come.
Okay.
If this were a full-time position, does it offer more grant availability?
No, Al's position does not receive any funding from Homeland Security. They will only fund one position. And so my position receives, it varies from year to year. Last year, it was closer to 40% that they provided toward my salary and benefits. This year, it's closer to 30. But they do not fund anything toward the second position. However, the hazardous materials grant that we got the money from last year, because we already received federal grant dollars for my position, we can't double dip. So all of the duties that I did last year as part of my job, that was just part of my job this year, we're able to track Al's time spent doing those same duties. And because he doesn't receive any federal funding for his job, we're able to get reimbursement on those activities. I've given him all of the duties related to our LEPC committee because that is all reimbursable from this hazardous material grant. So we're hoping to do much better this year, but of course, there's never a guarantee.
How much time is associated with those? Because you said it's reimbursable for those hours. How much time is that?
So the meetings that we have with LEPC are quarterly. So he does that, but like last year, we had one new offsite hazardous material response plan that we had to create. So we would have been able to claim all of his time on that. So right now, we are claiming follow-up work that he's doing, and he does all the meeting prep, the agenda creation, putting the packet together. We've been claiming that so far. We're also looking into other reimbursable activities from the grant. There are training things they will reimburse. So we're taking a deep dive on the hazardous preparedness grant just because we've had experience with that one so far. So we're taking a deeper look at that to see what all is reimbursable. Last year was our learning experience with it, and we're hoping to be more successful this year. But of course, also that's not enough. You know, we're also looking for other opportunities.
So out of 2,080 hours a year, how many hours are you estimating that would be reimbursable?
Oh, golly, I apologize. I would not have a clue. You mean for him from that grant?
Well, for any of these reimbursable, the time that he could be reimbursed.
From the hazardous material grant is the only one I can speak to right now because I don't have any experience with the other ones. I mean, last year we were able to secure $2,000. It's not, so the things that we get reimbursed for is not only his time. We were able to get some reimbursement because we held that hazardous material exercise at the fairgrounds. We got nice reimbursement for that. So we got $2,000 last year and we only had a little bit of his labor to include.
But wouldn't we have done that whether Al was involved?
We would have still done it. We just, without that grant, we wouldn't. The grant gave us reimbursement for more than just his labor. Yes.
So, wait, Commissioner, I'll follow up. That's fine.
Ms. Elke, can you remind me, and I was trying to find the number and I couldn't find it readily, but 2023, and if you can also speak to 2022, Where were you with your budget those years?
So so our emergency management budget, even when it was just me, that budget is always in a deficit.
Okay.
Because the money that comes from Homeland Security does not cover even one position. It only covers between 30% and 40% of the cost for my position for that half. What I can tell you, I looked this morning just briefly. I can tell you for 2023, we spent for our expenditures for emergency preparedness, we were at 86.66% of our expenditures. And for 911, we were at 86.61. So we tried to be very diligent with our budget funding. If we don't need it, we don't spend it from both sides of the aisle. But in full disclosure, our emergency preparedness budget, even not taking Al into consideration, that department does not sustain itself.
Okay. Yeah, and the other one, I thought I remembered it being quite low compared to other departments. I just wanted to make sure I was remembering that correctly. Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Just a question. So right now, again, I go back to my military background. The task organization is you have a director and a deputy director who's 30 hours.
Yes.
Okay, and a deputy director and then two departments. Why not, I'm just asking as an option, have a director for 911 and a director for emergency management?
That could be a conversation. So when I was appointed to the position of 911 director, it was only 911 director. Mark Hall continued as part-time EM. I was appointed in February. Mark continued as part-time EM until April 1st.
Okay.
May, they reappointed the positions together. So I became acting for both. So when Al was hired, he was hired as both. But should you desire to have, that's a conversation we can have.
Okay. Again, my thought was, at some point, first my thought was this could have been discussed at committee before it came to full board. That's the first thing. That's what I was discussing with the chairman about. To hash out a lot of some of these details and to explore other courses of action, i.e. deputy director, director, and two departments, or a director for each department. This is not the place, in my opinion, that we should be, again, quote unquote, making the sausage, if you will. That's another military term, and I apologize for that. But there's a lot of questions that I have, and I don't want to prolong the meeting. But
I just want to say that this was at the Personnel Committee meeting at least once, maybe twice.
okay. And the recommendation from personnel.
Well, I think
It got passed on the full board and then it got
the
passed.
recommendation was to, I think, about the funds. But as far as the whole director, assistant director, however you want to break that down, that was never.
Okay. Okay. All right, well, I guess, are there any other questions for Kim, our director? So what she is requesting for the first action item, actually, it's action item number 6, and it's two components. The first one is to reduce the fund balance from line item number 261-000-390.000 in the amount of $10,809 with the increase to the line items as below. And I'm not going to read those off because there are about 8 of them. I know. I forgot to grab water, so I can't replenish. And additionally, she's asking to reduce the contingency fund of 101-941-955.000 by $6,000 and adjust the 2024 emergency preparedness budget line item. And again, there's 4 different line items there. And to increase a number of others. And the purpose for that is to essentially to make Al Rapson, who is currently the deputy director, from part-time, about 30 hours a week, to full-time. That is your request. So do I have a motion and support for this action? I'm looking for a motion.
Motion for the vote.
I have a motion from Commissioner Osmer. Do I have support?
I'll support.
I have support from Commissioner Kondrashevsky. Discussion, please.
I would make just one notation.
Yes, after.
And just, you know, I'm going to be a yes on this only because you've proven to, with the budget, stayed within your numbers. I'm going to let you know ahead of time, I'm going to have a really hard time voting to increase your budget. Should you not be able to find grant money or funds in the future though. So just full disclosure.
I guess my issue with it is, I mean, do you see where we're reducing siren maintenance, emergency prepared supplies? But I mean, this is something I highly caution many people. These grants are going to dry up. You're making continued movements on relying that there's going to be grants in the future. And what the problem is your budget has been a hot topic for a really long time. And these movements are just setting you up for more failure and failure and failure. As far as your time usage, I actually operate in my personal job as a salary and I continually work more than that, but I knew that going into it. But you can also work on like better management and some things just got to be pushed. It's not fair for you to suffer burnout as well. But I really have an issue where we're truly stealing money from to cover this position that we don't have future funding guaranteed for. That, you know, this is a reflection on our general budget as well. I mean, we're just digging holes like over and over, and we got to be so careful for a while till we get a hold of it, a better control of budgets.
I completely,
So
what you're saying, I just would like to point out one item, the siren maintenance. So we do an annual maintenance on our sirens. We did some recent repairs to them. So that is the only reason I took some of the money from that line item. I'm not anticipating repairs this year, but that is
Right.
the explanation for the siren maintenance that we did just a couple months ago. They did our preventive maintenance on it and we did some repairs under the 2023 budget.
But most things that crash and need maintenance, it's not like, hey, by the way, you know, it's going to break down at the airport next month and we're going to be in big trouble because the storm's coming. There's no notice for stuff like that. And when you start stealing out of budgets like that, then all of a sudden you end up in big trouble. So, I mean, that's just my viewpoint on it. Where the money's coming from, I mean, I have a real problem with that. And there's no future funding for a full-time position. I'm not saying that there's not work. I really am not. So.
I will kind of reiterate what Robin's stating. We, as a Board of Commissioners, have talked about how we're trying to reduce the budgets. And this may not be a huge impact, but if we continue to say yes, which I've said in the past, a lot of the times the commissioners didn't know how to say no on things. And that's one of the reasons that I feel that we're in the position that we're in. My feeling is totally that we need to be looking at ways to reduce things moving forward. We have a $1.5 million deficit that we're still working on reducing. And I know we have a long way to go this year, but as I've said, if we're not working at it each and every month, when we get to October, November, there's pretty much not much we can do at that point. I do know, and I was talking to the treasurer before the meeting and actually Jennifer, when we, and again, kind of a separate subject, but similar, you have the funding, you're taking the funding, you're coming up with the funding this year as we were discussing. But then moving forward, you're going to have to look for ways to get that funding. I know with the airport manager, when one of the stipulations that we put in there was that funding was no longer available, the position would no longer be full-time.
That's for the
airport.
assistant.
Yeah.
They're not the manager.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. But, well, sorry, I didn't.
I just want to clarify, we're not.
Point is that, you know, at least with that, because I had a hard time agreeing to that one by making a position full-time, because again, we're looking at an overall budget deficit of 1.5 million. And you can say it's not a lot of money here or there, but those little amounts add up eventually. And that's again why I feel that we're at the position that we're in.
Okay, And Commissioner Fournier, please.
I do have some questions. Appreciate what you've done, Kim. I mean, you went through your budget and you cut dang near to the bare bones to get yourself another full-time person. But is that a good idea to cut yourself to the point where there's nothing there left? Now you have your tower payment coming up and you expressed to me
That's out of 911.
and you're really worried about that. And also, you're gonna be on the ballot this year for a renewal, so we're really worried about that. So I think we should continue on the path we're doing. Department heads, they have been very good about cutting down because they know the position we are in. We just can't afford to give everybody their wish. I mean, if we could all have our wishes, life would be beautiful. It's not that way anymore. So, but like I said, I appreciate what you've tried to do. You're doing an excellent job as director. I appreciate that. But I feel as though at this time, if we could just hang in there till we get our portion taken care of, and then maybe, hey, maybe good times will be coming. We don't know. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Fournier. Any other questions or further discussion before we?
I have one more. I
Commissioner Lemon,
apologize.
please.
So I know that there was a reduction in the allotment for your 911 department towards the
Cost
county.
allocation.
Cost allocation, thank you so much. That word was escaping me. But I know it was substantial how much it was reduced. Would you be willing to rework where that money comes from to offset his wage increase? And what I'm asking may not be allowed, so that, I guess.
That would be that would be something that I could look into. So our cost allocation is down for this year because of overpayment. So our cost allocation is reduced just for this year. It'll be slightly less going forward, but it was a significant decrease this year. But I can reach out to the state and see if that would be allowed. We had talked previously to Lieutenant DeCastro, a commissioner in the previous board, had questioned offsetting us very drastically to try to take more advantage of the Homeland Security funding. And our region commander, Lieutenant DeCastro, who you heard from last month, advised drastically against that. But we have not looked into, could we have a load to the 911 side? We have not looked into that. It would be a question I would have to ask. I can tell you, as part of our audit last year, one of the things that they request is what, if you're less than 100%, what is your percentage? And typically, what we were told on the Homeland Security side is the closer you stick to 50-50, the easier it is to manage. But I'm not opposed to looking into that.
I guess because that was my issue, is where the money's coming from. Okay, thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it.
Okay. So any further discussion? Because we have a motion. And Lynn, could you help me? Who made the motion in support, please?
Jesse made the motion and Travis made the support.
Okay, so we have the motion in support from Commissioners Osmer and then Konarshevsky. Is there any further discussion? So a yes vote would mean that the budget adjustments would be allowed and that Al Rapson would go from part-time to full-time. A no vote means status quo. Okay? So unless there's any other discussion, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
No.
Commissioner LaHaye,
No.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Lalone,
No.
Commissioner Fournier,
No,
Commissioner Konashevsky,
No.
Commissioner Francisco.
Yes,
Motion failed.
motion has failed. So we will continue with the status quo. Next item on our agenda is our HR specialist, Jennifer.
Okay, so right now we offer our employees a corporate membership at the Aplex and the Plaza Pool. I'm not sure how many years this has been going on, but it's been going on since I've been here. So our employees have a free membership to each of these facilities and family members receive half off their memberships. And the county pays the Aplex $650 and the Plaza Pool $2,500 for this membership. And the Summerfields have reached out to me asking if we would like to renew this membership for 2024.
Do we get like the corporate discount on the pool? No,
No.
So those amounts again were $650 to the Aplex for the fitness center essentially and $2,500 for the Plaza Pool.
Yes.
you would, I think, was it you that had asked the number of people that
I
used
did.
it?
So I reached out to them and they told me that we have 9 employees that use the pool. And they were not able to provide me with a number for the Aplex yet.
Because they could probably just come and go as they need.
Yeah.
One of my concerns, just real quick, Jennifer, is you and I had actually talked about the Aplex in September of last year. I don't know that. At which time you had notified me that you received a lot of feedback from employees that they were not using the free membership at the Aplex. So we don't have a number, but it sounds like you did do some sort of
I
survey.
did a survey and a lot of the employees that provided feedback were complaining about the condition of the equipment in the fitness center.
Roughly, how much does that knock off of our total that we pay towards insurance by having that gym membership?
I don't think it makes a difference.
Okay. Because you noted that we had our healthcare renewals. I was giving you ideas on how to keep our premiums low by promoting healthy habits.
So our healthy habits, we have a wellness program through the Bay right now Athletic Center where employees receive a discounted package over there. I don't think we're actually receiving a discount because we're providing this membership, but it's something that I could look into. I just know it was never mentioned to me.
But you had mentioned that the premiums would be low if we offered this type of stuff, or?
And not to my knowledge, that might have been something that Mary Catherine may have said.
We are paying for underpay.
Like pay the pool or the fitness center.
Oh, the ones you just talked about.
No, that is fully funded by the employees. They just get a
Oh.
discounted membership if they're interested.
Oh, okay.
Oh, at the athletic club?
So there's only like 9 people using the pool. Nobody using the equipment and it's costing us how much per?
I don't know how many people are using the Aplex, but it's costing us $2,500 for the pool and $650 for the Aplex.
Do we know what an annual membership for the pool is, just for an individual who wants to join?
I can pull it up.
I don't see payment. We don't use it.
I have no idea what a membership is for an individual.
I'm not sure.
Sorry, I should have probably looked.
people using it.
Playing it, it's $10 a month.
And I can see how the Aplex, how they really don't know, because I've been in there a couple of times and just walked in and there's been nobody in the fitness center and you just go in and use
So
the
what you're saying is
facility.
we could use it.
I'm not saying anything other than it is, there's not an attendant there necessarily
No,
watching
there's
everybody
not.
coming in. So,
I won't sign in and out.
yeah.
So annual fee for the Aplex is $300. And the family member pricing is cut in half, so $150. And then if you pay monthly, it's $50 a month per employee or per person.
That's the Aplex,
That's
correct?
an Aplex.
And I don't have the pricing for the pool.
We own the Aplex anyway.
Basically, we're saving
Aplex, no,
$5.
no. The Aplex is privately owned by Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
We own them.
That's what I think too.
Yeah.
Gonna make,
Both of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
gonna make a motion that we don't do either of those.
Sport.
I have a motion from Commissioner Osmer that says we do not, the county does not pay the $650 towards the Aplex and $2,500 towards the pool. I have support from Commissioner Fournier. Okay,
So
so a yes vote means we will not support. A no vote means we will.
Now you're going backwards.
Well, that's the way the motion was.
Wait,
was made.
My fault.
Yeah, that was the way the motion was made.
Thanks a lot, Jesse. Can you say that again for me, please?
Okay, so Commissioner Osmer, his motion was he makes a motion that that Alpena County not pay $650 to the Aplex and $2,500 to the Plaza Pool for county memberships. So a yes vote means you support the motion, indicating we will not pay. A no vote means that we will pay the membership.
he's trying to work it so that way we
Tricks all.
I didn't make the motion. Commissioner Hosmer did.
Yeah, to change your motion, please.
Are we
Yes
good?
means we're not paying it.
No means we will.
Paying it.
That's correct.
Now we're the ups.
So the question.
Other discussion?
Yep, just one more question. So if we don't get into the membership with the pool, will that cost us more money?
Probably later on when they need repairs and you guys need to transfer the
Later
money.
in the year?
Yeah,
maybe.
$1,000 for the pool.
But at least at this point, we're getting a membership out of it. Later on, if you need to do an adjustment, we're just gonna
Maybe
give
next
them the money.
fix the boiler system.
Next time we just say, no.
There is that.
That's why I was hoping for the corporate.
Vote on this.
The one,
Yep.
I just,
Further discussion?
I have one thing. The one thing I really would not like to see is I don't want to reduce healthy benefits to the staff. There's definitely like a mental, that's a positive, and like exercise healthy. I would like us to look at some different options. If the complaint is about the status of the equipment, like, because honestly, we were providing that for them for a healthy choice. Maybe we could reach out to Bay Athletic Club and talk to them about some different options that they'd be willing, like not just a reduced, membership for employees, but maybe we could look at like, maybe 10 visits to classes a month, or, what I mean? I'd like to see, like, just, we offer them better, but maybe not more expensive, but look at some different options we could provide them for wellness.
I could ask them about the classes. I know right now they send out like a monthly calendar where asking.
And I appreciate that, but let's do the vote first and we can talk about other options later on.
Let's do that.
Okay.
I'll sit down with you and we'll do it.
Yep. Lynn,
Zoom said that the Plaza Pool is $400 for a single adult membership.
400 for a single adult membership. Thank you
You're welcome.
for whoever's out in listening land for that information.
I believe it's Amanda Rich from my office.
$2,400 is the amount of that, when we're paying them $2,500 for the 9 people that were using it. No, we had 9 people attending Plaza Pool that were employees, which is $2,400, and we were giving them $2,500. So just so you can wrap your head around, like, you're taking it away, but like you were spending that for those 9 employees to use the pool.
How many full-time employees do we have?
Probably around 120.
About 120, so 9 out of less than 10%.
Yeah.
We're using the benefits. Okay, got it.
So I'll just make a quick comment before we vote. We're on the pool anyway, and like, we're just commenting, we're gonna have to pay now, pay later type of thing. And for $650 to offer it to our people, I wish we knew, and I know it's not your fault, we should know how many people are using it. I think it's a good move
Aplex or pool?
to offer it.
That was the Aplex.
Well, this is.
We said the pool.
The pool we own, the Aplex we don't.
Got it. I just wanted to make sure it's found.
Yep. So that's all I guess I have to say. For $650, I don't think it's a bad investment to offer our people. Hopefully, there are a handful utilizing it.
thought they said 9.
That's for the pool. They didn't provide me a number for the Aplex.
Because they couldn't, basically.
Right, but the survey that you put out, they didn't, but you put a survey out asking how many people used it.
Yeah, I don't know if I can try to look up the results to see how many people were actually.
Are you asking for that information, Commissioner Osmer? No? Okay, you don't have to.
Okay.
You're not asking for it. So I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna say, so right now we have a vote, either we're gonna approve paying both of them or approve not paying both of them. So there's no,
separation at this time.
okay,
So yes means you don't.
Yes means no,
yes means no.
and no means yes, we'll pay, based upon the way the thing was worded, the motion was worded. Roll call, please.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Lalone,
No.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky.
No.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco.
No. So it's 4-3, the way I look at it, and we will not be making a payment to the pool and or the Aplex
Correct.
at this time. Okay. So the motion was carried in this particular case. Okay, very well. I think that was it, Jennifer, correct, that we had?
Yes.
Okay, so next on the agenda, again, myself, we've already done the Land Bank Authority options. And so the next item is the request for funding for Hunt for 2024. And I'm gonna have to pull this up because I don't recall. So the request is for $4,000 to fund Hunt, and as somebody, Treasurer Ludlow, if you could help bail me out on this one, because I'm trying to remember the line item and.
Yeah, so the invoice that we received it says for half of the year of 24, and it's for $4,000. So they're looking actually for $8,000 for Hunt for the 24 budget. Line item is 101-314-959. Now, historically, we have provided 21, 22, and 23, $8,000 cash, so to speak, appropriation to Hunt. We do also not charge them a cost allocation, and we have provided a Hunt officer. Now that officer was just started like September of last year, so we didn't have full year, but it is anticipated to be providing that support for an officer this year completely. You have nothing budgeted in 24 to give a cash appropriation to Hunt. They just kind of automatically send their bills.
And in the past, for the last 3 years, the county has supported them at the tune of about $8,000.
Yes,
And right now they're asking for 50% of that.
yes.
And normally we budgeted for it as well, correct?
Well,
But in 23, it was not budgeted either. Because there's been the discussion back and forth as to, okay, so we're not charging them the cost allocation. And I believe about that. So the 24 cost allocation would be $12,088 because we're the fiduciary for Hunt. So they would essentially pay us $12,008 to be the fiduciary. In 23, the cost allocation would have been $9,533. So in 23, we provided basically the $9,533 plus an officer for a few months and the $8,000 cash disbursement. This year, we're providing a full-time employee, and I can bring that up for you in here in just a second. And we are also not charging them cost allocation of $12,088. So we're providing that. And let me get down to the Hunt. And we are providing out of the general fund we're providing a Hunt officer. Total expense is about 95,000, but we are bringing in 100,000 from opioid money to offset that cost.
it was discussed during budget talks to pull the money from opioid to cover not only the $8,000, but also cover the Hunt position. To move it from the opioid line item into the general, fund to move over to this.
So it's possible that $8,000 cash appropriation was just missed
Yeah.
in your budgeting process.
Okay. So for as a motion to approve the payment of $4,000 from our county general fund.
Can we make that adjustment for the full 8,000?
Certainly, I apologize.
No, that's fine. It just because we're going to pay this and then they're going to
Yeah,
send us.
they'll do it again. Yep. So I'm looking for a motion to allocate $8,000 from the general fund to support Hunt operations.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Konashevsky. Do I have support?
I'll support.
I got a support from Commissioner Lalone. Any further discussion?
The opioid settlement was covering this entire amount, correct?
Yes.
We have we actually made that budget adjustment yet from opioid funding to cover?
Have we actually transferred the money? No,
We have not.
not at this time.
Because I've been the point of contact with the opioid partnership, and I think I told them there's like $280,000 in that fund right now, and that but I have not informed them that we were planning to move.
So reach
$2,000.
out to me and I can get you a breakdown of where we're at and what's
Very much.
budgeted to.
So that the next time we have an opioid partners meeting, I can let them know. That would be fine. Thank you. Okay, so I have a motion and support for $8,000 to support hunt operations. Any further discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Lalone,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco.
Yes. Motion is carried. We will make the payment to Hunt. I want them to continue doing the great work that they do. Next item on our agenda is from out of the Commissioner's Office, request for budget adjustments as presented. Other
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and, how would I word?
approve the budget adjustments from the
Thank-
Commissioner's Office.
I don't want to mess it up. Thank you.
We're good, Commissioner Osmer. So I have a motion to approve the budget adjustments as presented by the Commissioner's Office. Support. I have support from Commissioner Konashevsky.
No,
Any discussion?
he supported now second.
I had,
Oh,
he
okay.
made the motion,
That's fine.
Commissioner Osmer and
Okay.
Commissioner Konashevsky supported.
That's good.
Okay. Any discussion?
So I just want to verify. So for your first, looks like IT is requesting you increase your software purchases by $12,225 to what you currently have budgeted. So you'll be increasing that out of your general fund. That line item currently has $35,491 budgeted with $26,778 available. IT, do we really need an additional 12,225 budgeted? We,
Money that was allocated for the car pump project.
right, no, I understand that. I'm just saying, when we look at, so you're increasing our deficit by 12,000. And then when we get down to the copier supplies, there is $7,765 in the current budget with $6,500 already available. Again, do we need an additional over and above the 6,000 what we currently have?
Yes,
So you anticipate spending everything plus? Yes. And the same thing with the 402 with the data processing with the additional storage. He's asking to increase that line item by $22,500. There's $190,000 currently in that budget. And it's $140,000 available. So he's already got 140. He's looking for another 22,500.
Understand? Okay.
Making sure we're all on the same page.
Okay. Any other questions or further discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Commissioner Lalone,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco.
Yes. And that, ladies and gentlemen, closes out the finance portion of the meeting today. I look for a motion to rise and report and close the finance meeting.
Make a
I
motion.
have a motion from Commissioner Fournier. Do I have support?
Support.
I have support from Commissioner Lalone. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. And Commissioner corrections, Chairman Kozlowski, the meeting is yours, sir.
Okay. This is the first time I've done this, so get used to it.
Oh my
Getting used to
gosh.
it. All right, so the next item that we have is action item 8. Approve all the recommendations of the Finance Ways and Means Committee as presented. Looking for a motion. Commissioner Osmer made the motion. Support?
Support.
Support by Commissioner Lalone. Any questions, discussion? Okay. We just, because there was finance, should we do roll call on that one? Because there was,
Make sure nobody ran away.
Well, no, roll call. vote. Just tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you can.
No,
Okay.
no roll call.
Do roll call.
Because of the finance.
Ready? Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Malone,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco.
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes. Okay. Next item is the consent calendar. All the items that were filed within the reports. Were on the consent calendar rather. Looking to get a motion to approve the consent calendar action items.
I have one. Can I pull one?
I'm sorry. Yeah, if you want to pull something.
Well, I just have a question. That would be action item.
Well, let's pull that item and then you can discuss it and then we'll approve
Okay.
the others.
Okay.
So what was which item did you want to pull?
The number one,
Number one of what?
under the consent calendar.
I know, but what is it?
Poll action number one.
Well, we got that poll action is
All right,
actually,
be under number three. Right here.
The poll action is not on the consent
I
calendar.
don't think it's on calendar,
Yeah.
yeah.
The poll for the pool,
Yes,
okay, that is
Separate item.
not on the consent calendar.
consent calendar.
She's talking about 14.
You're talking about this one right here?
Yes,
Okay, yeah,
it's
that's,
under consent.
no, it's a separate item. That's two and that's three. It's a separate item.
Oh, okay.
14?
Oh,
It'd be action item, poll action one.
Action number one.
action number one.
Okay.
Oh, it,
So,
action one.
okay, well, that is an action. we
I
can
know.
discuss.
I just heard.
Okay, so there's nothing on the consent calendar that you would like to pull that.
Yeah.
So that being said, I'm looking to have a motion to approve the action items on the consent calendar.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion by Bill,
I'll support.
and support by Bert. So any discussion on any of the consent, well, actually, we don't need discussion, I guess. So all those in favor signify by
I
saying.
think you have to do a roll call.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Malone,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes,
Commissioner Francisco.
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes. Okay. Now, poll action number one, which was a recommendation to transfer the $25,000 for the general fund. For the line item, transfer to the pool, plaza pool, and transfer to the pool line item for contributions from the general fund to cover the emergency equipment and building repairs and increase the 2024 budgeted plaza pool fund equipment maintenance line by $18,000 as presented. So we've already actually, I believe we approved this by a poll vote. So now we're just bringing it to the full board to get, I guess, reapproved.
Confirm it, I guess.
Confirmed.
Have it in the minutes because you do a voice. Well, it's verbal.
So then technically this is going out to,
Well, you should have a motion and support.
Okay.
For the,
so I guess just for the fact that. it's
I just have a question.
board, well, we'll get the motion.
So I'll make the motion.
The recommendation, motion and support by Commissioner Konashevsky and Commissioner Osmer, support, oh, did you?
No.
No, Commissioner Osmer support.
Okay, now we can have the discussion.
On the $25,000 that we're taking out of the general fund and transferring it to the plaza pool, could that 25,000 be taken out of the ARPA money, put into the general fund,
Yeah,
and from the general fund, pay the pool?
so again, the ARPA funds can be used for county operations.
Okay.
So we had to bring them in to the county. But when we keep 9,500 here, 25,000 here,
Right.
10,000 there. We've already brought 300,000. So you're just kind of slowly peeking away at that ARPA money rather than
Really not that slow.
making a solid commitment with it.
Okay,
You can, it's definitely.
Now, does that money have to be spent by the end of this year?
No, it has to be committed by December 31st and it has to be spent by the end of 26.
You have to commit.
But when you're looking at your budgeting purposes, you know, for, I think it was 21 and 22, it was almost 800,000 of ARPA money that was brought in to the general fund to help offset the deficit. 23, it was 300,000. 24, it was 300,000. But then we're adding 25,000 for the land bank and 9,500 for Amy Cell, and now 25,000. So you're whittling that away with not using it in a solid way. Not that you can't.
Well,
I would just I would advise against it.
okay, because you know, we keep robbing the general fund for that pool.
Right.
And we just can't keep this up. I mean, we probably could have had a brand new pool by now for what we put into that pool we got, and we keep repairing it and repairing it and repairing it. Nobody on this board will say, enough is enough. Stop.
Well, we also
You
have,
know, we're just taking the people's good money that they are entrusting us with to spend wisely. And to me, that's not a good investment. Period.
That's why you've got Robin attending there.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
So what do you recommend?
Treasurer,
I
So-
recommend shutting the pool down. I've
Well,
said it before,
it's still
and I'll
gonna
say
cost
it
us-
again. Shut
Because
the
it's gonna
pool down.
cost us the- is it the,
if we were to shut the pool down, we would still have to pay somewhat of the utilities because you can't just shut that down. You have
I'd bury it.
going. We also,
I'd cement it in.
we would also have to pay the pool's portion of the energy conservation payment because that bond still is not paid off and we would have to pay that.
So we're paying that until September of 2028.
Yes, September of 2028. And the pool's covering $30,000 of that bond payment. So if they don't pay that 30,000 of that bond payment,
we do.
they can pay their own repair and we don't have to give them that 25,000.
And,
But then we have to cover the 30,000 for the bond payment.
yeah, and Youth and
I have a
Rec is
question
contributing
first.
money to that too, which would be money that we didn't
I don't think
have.
they contribute as much as they used to.
Well, they're,
Youth and rec appropriation this year is 90,000.
Okay.
And this OPC's appropriation is 30,000.
yeah,
Friends of the,
This year,
How's it-
Friends of the
they've been giving us any money to,
$20,000 a year.
that don't even cover half of what we need.
well, we
Because
can have that discussion.
I can have it now. Thank you
Well,
very much, because that's just how I feel about the pool.
No, I
I
get it.
mean, we're taking people's good money and keep constantly putting it in that pool. How many
Unfortunately,
people use that pool in Alpena?
well, unfortunately, we're going to pay regardless of whether.
I guess we don't have, yeah, but I just, yeah, just,
I have a couple of
Admin.
questions. Treasurer Ludlow, how much is that bond payment total?
Total?
Yeah, what is it per year?
Not right off the top. of my head.
Oh, that's okay.
Going down.
Actually, I can look it up real quick.
It's going down. That's not an answer. I know I put you on the spot and I apologize.
But just give me a second here. I just have to. So,
So,
this year we are looking at $140,000.
okay, thank you so
For
much.
all, or is it just?
That's the total bond payment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's, I wondered what the
That's-
total bond payment.
That's
Yeah.
the airport's portion, the pool's portion.
If we were to pay that, we would,
We have to pay it.
no, I know, I'm
Yeah.
just saying if somehow we had some extra money,
Mhm.
that we could pay it, we'd be out of the bond payment. Or can we pay it
I
off?
would have to look to see if there's a penalty for early payoff on that.
Okay,
But yeah, so that would be,
okay.
Chairperson, I'd like to amend the motion that's on the floor.
Well, they amend that.
I'd like to amend it.
Who made the motion?
Well, this was,
yeah, this is a poll action.
All action.
yeah, this was one that we've
We've
already,
already done.
So, yeah,
We're just.
Can I amend the poll action?
I don't think so.
you could make an additional,
Motion after,
motion, yeah,
Fair enough.
additional motion.
because we've already taken action on this particular item. It's just,
Right, and you want to make a motion and you want to approve the poll just like you did, and then you could make an additional motion.
To not pay.
I'm gonna do that.
okay,
Yeah, so let's finish this one.
One quick, actually more of a statement. Just a quick reminder on poll action items, because I know we have them listed here, and the thing is, the general public get these. I would still kind of like to see a memorialization of how the members voted on those poll action votes that took place prior in case they change. Or, I want the public to understand who voted how to get it to this point. I
when you'll
guess.
get to say that today,
We are,
Are you
but people might
saying-
change
oh,
their
you're saying,
votes,
okay.
so I'm just saying it would be nice for
like if you
the
switch
public
your
to be able to
vote.
know how we voted.
Okay.
Switch your vote. No.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Okay, so any other questions? If not, we'll take roll call.
Commissioner Lalone,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
No.
Commissioner Francisco,
I voted yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes,
Motion carried.
okay.
I have a question.
I would like to make a motion.
Well, let's see what her question is and then we'll go back to you.
Mine's awesome.
Okay.
Go for it.
So is mine. For sale or have somebody come forward and take it over. Like the Friends of the Plaza Pool?
I don't think anybody would be that dumb.
You're saying the county commissioners are dumb. Well, I have to agree with that because we keep paying this. So I agree with that. But maybe the Friends of the Plaza Pool would like to come and take it over.
I don't think anybody.
Or maybe
would be
we
able
could
to
put it up
afford-
for sale.
Yeah.
What do you mean, no? How do you know?
Okay, well,
You ain't saying a word,
I don't know that it's even possible to
Yeah.
put it up for sale.
but somebody could take it over.
maybe the school would.
Like Besser Foundation could take it over. The schools
Yeah.
could take it over because it was theirs to
Well, I
begin.
think at Commissioner Lalonde's next meeting, maybe she could talk with the school about it.
I just want to say, thank God for Commissioner Fournier keeping us on our toes.
Yeah.
Surprise motion.
Well, it just seems like I'm the only one that's
No, it's-
comes out and says
You
anything.
have good.
It's just how I feel. It's,
Okay, so Commissioner Lalonde, you had a really awesome thought.
yes, what's your awesome thought?
As owners of the county plaza pool, I would like to make a motion that all county employees have free and unlimited use of the county plaza pool at no charge to them or us.
Well, we're already paying it anyway, so.
So I want a motion on the floor for that. All county employees have free and unlimited use.
Alpena County.
Alpena County employees have free and unlimited use of the county plaza pool that we own.
What about their families?
Only them, because in a way, it would generate additional income for the plaza pool because they bring their families and things, but that is a part of our wellness program. The motion's on the floor.
I would second if you'd be willing to make one
Discussion.
amendment
What's the
for
amendment?
a 1 year period for us to see how this works.
Let's do 2 years. I'd be willing to take 2 years for the amendment and then do a poll towards the end of the 2 years. So because it's a new thing, give them time to get used to it.
True, but if we do 2 years, then we're harnessing the next board with our decision.
No additional charge. And we already are paying for it through
I would
2028.
say what happens if people come in to us and say, you
So,
may say it's your pool.
There's a second.
okay, so we have a motion to Commissioner Lalonde's. And we have support by Commissioner Osmer. Now the stuff.
Oh, thank you. So I, as a citizen, I'm going to come to your meeting and I'm going to say, hey, wait a minute. That's my money that you're using so the people that work for the county can go swim in my pool.
We already are.
So, right. So why can't we swim in our pool too for nothing? Because it's our money. And I would
So
do that
we were-
as a citizen.
We were paying the $2,500. And again, what was that getting us? Is that in effect us unlimited access to the pool or?
$2,500.
Yeah.
It was getting all of our employees a free membership to the pool to use the pool, and then their families half off.
There weren't that many using it anyway.
Yeah, we had 9
We're
people.
worrying about this now. Why don't we just?
We're moving on, John.
And I do just.
I'd like a vote on it.
Well, we've got a motion, so. So if there's no other discussion,
That discussion.
It was just a comment that Jesse had made earlier about getting a reduction in our premium for the health insurance. I think I know what you're referring to is that we don't necessarily get a reduction by offering this. The idea behind it is if we have healthy employees, that they have less usage, and that's how we get a reduction.
Got it. Okay.
okay, so we have a motion. If there's no other discussion, I'd like to do a hold on. A roll call.
Oh.
I want everyone to go home and get home.
Right. Commissioner Fournier,
No,
Commissioner Francisco,
No.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Sure, yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
No.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Lalone,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
No.
Motion failed.
that was wrong.
Okay, so moving on to the next item. The Michigan Medical Examiner contract is up for renewal. I believe it was supposed to be in effect on 1 January. So we have I'm looking for a motion to recommend the approval of the Medical Examiner Services renewal contract from 1/1/24 through 12/31/27 with Mid-Michigan Medical Examiner Group LLC, Dr. Paul Wagner, DO, and the annual fee amount of $31,651 or $58 for 2024 in the incrementing annually by 2% for 25, 26, and 2027.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any discussion? No discussion? Here, no discussion. Can we do a roll call as well?
Commissioner Francisco.
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer, Commissioner Lalone,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes. Okay, public comment. Do we have any public comment?
I can request this maybe to put something on a future agenda for finance would be, it was already discussed earlier, I was gonna mention that, but the opioid fund, if we could discuss possibly looking at helping the drug court out a little bit with that, so we could put that up for discussion.
Well, you could maybe court and public safeties have a discussion, bring it to that meeting and.
Okay.
I got my-
You're chair of that.
I'm the chair of that.
Okay.
I can have that put on the agenda.
Because that'd be a good discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have them. It'd be nice if they attended it.
Any comment from the board? Any final comment?
At some point this year in 24, we established a new committee called the Budget Committee. And the purpose for that was to meet to discuss the budget for, obviously 24, but 25 and beyond, instead of waiting till October. I think Commissioner Peterson's the chair and you and I are on it. I think at some point in the near future, we need to have a meeting and start getting after what this elephant in the room, so to speak.
Yeah, I believe the treasurer was part of it.
Yes,
as well.
I believe so. I'm just saying, we've got the committee, but we haven't yet met. I think we need to do that.
I do know that the timeline that I think Mary Catherine put out there that I saw, the only timeline that I saw was like June was the first meeting, which is not a lot of extra. I mean, we're talking a few extra months.
And that was to look at 25 and the 25 budget. I really
Oh,
think,
you're talking to maybe look at this year's budget.
yes.
Okay.
Personally, I think that should be a full board committee and it should be quarterly.
Well, I would like to see if there is going to be discussion by this board to put something on this year's ballot, you need to do something soon.
For the,
A public safety millage, for example, or whatever.
If you're looking to do something like that, put it on this year's ballot. We need to do something soon.
Would need to be in for the primary, which is in August.
Right, and I'm not sure, Carrie, when. I know normally,
Would be July sometime would be the ballot questions deadline to get the
Right.
August.
so if you're going to do something, May was always the cutoff date for, and again, you also have the ambulance millage that still has not been addressed either.
So I'll say the court and public safety should be, because we did get a language from Mary Catherine at the end of the year.
Last I was aware, we're still waiting for legal review on that before you guys move forward with that going to a ballot.
Did anyone hear back from legal review? Because I don't know, because you're correct, I did ask her to have that checked, so.
I did question her right before she left and she said that she was going to get with the lawyer, but I'm not sure if she ever did.
Okay.
She said she sent it to him. She just didn't get a response yet.
So
Along with that other thing that I had asked you to look at, if you could just kind of chunk those together with a 2-for-1 deal.
Okay, I reached out to someone internally about the first thing that you inquired about. And I'm waiting to hear back from them this afternoon.
Okay. So would you mind following up to see where we are with the language on the millage for the ambulance?
Sure. Do you know who she may have reached out to?
You could call
Okay.
I know what I would tell you.
Okay, so
And put the pool on there too.
if we're done with the board discussion, finally, last call for public comment. Did we do public comment?
We did not.
Is there anybody online or in the audience that would like to come up?
I'd like to say something as a commissioner.
You'd have to step up.
No. So I just want to refresh everybody's memory about what we just did in this board meeting. For the county employees, and I'm going to speak specifically to the non-union county employees, we just took away part of their wellness package. And then we just disagreed to give them a free service that would have been no additional cost to us in how we handled their raises with the budget by giving it as a bonus instead of like a raise compared to the union employees. I just want us all to be conscious to what message we're sending to county employees, especially the non-union ones, because I really think that should be recognized. With no solution as far as resolving what we're giving them in place for wellness. Something to think about.
Can you find out the individuals those 9 people? I'm just kind of curious, because we can have further discussion.
Yeah, that was no cost to the county. It's crazy to me that didn't pass. It literally affected us in no negative way by giving them something.
I thought it was cost to the county.
There's no cost to the county. It's just, we own it. Why can't they use it for free?
Well, everybody.
I mean, let them, it's something, we need to give them things. They need to be treated like they're appreciated.
The whole county owns it. It's
Yeah.
not just.
So that was.
Well, yeah, I get that, but our county employees that work specifically for us, handling these grants,
So that
handling the
you're-
paperwork, you know what I mean? This is
So
something.
we're paying, we were gonna pay $2,500. We didn't pay that, but yet we pay $25,000.
Right.
And because we're putting all that money into it as a county, but again, it's a taxpayer.
We're the
So-
facilitator of that entity. We do the work, giving them the money for the repairs and handling all this documentation. And that's something that we're not willing to do for our employees. But I mean, it just reflects back on the raises and then we're reducing the wellness. You have to value your employees. That's all I'm saying.
Pool has
Just
been
food for
there.
thought.
9 employees choose to use it.
Yeah.
9.
So what I'll say
9
is I'll
employees.
do some checking on things and I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
So
Just clarification, Chairman, I just want to make sure, so you asked her to find out which employees, are you looking to find out union versus non-union, or
she would know that.
you're actually looking for, or you actually want names?
Well, yeah, I'm looking specifically for names and then maybe.
I have the names I can send to you. I just want to touch on what Robin said about the raises for the non-union employees this year. Instead of doing a lump sum or doing a % increase in the wages, we're doing it, their non-union's getting paid bi-weekly now. And I'm just afraid, I've heard a lot of feedback from non-union, and I'm afraid that these employees are gonna become to rely on that. It's $50 in their pay. And I mean, it's not much, but that could be a tank of gas or something, and they're gonna rely on that. And if it's not something that's gonna be renewed in 2025, then they're gonna look at it as they're taking a pay cut or they're getting something taken away from them because it's just been something that was in 26 pays periods. So.
Well, let's just hope that we can
Something
keep their
that we can
job
have
this year,
Yeah.
Discussion at.
In the budget meeting.
Budget, yeah.
Okay.
the way
Okay.
things are going now.
So if there's no other public comment, I will look for a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion.
I'll
Motion
support.
From Commissioner LaHaye. Commissioner, Wu.
Excuse me.
Too late.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
My phone can ring.
And John, did you just want me to send you those?
Yeah.